Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Mercy, and if this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. Please hit on the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever I post new videos. In this video, I'll be sharing with you guys on how to draft the basic bodice block pattern. A basic bodice block pattern is something you could use to make your dresses, your tops, your jackets, and so on. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, you need to watch this video to the end. Without wasting much of your time, let's dive in straight to the tutorial. For this tutorial, I'll be making use of the pattern paper, measuring tapes, marker, straight and curved ruler. So I'll be using the top of the pattern paper as the starting point. From the top of the pattern paper, which is the starting point, I marked my shoulder to nipple point, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to my waistline, and shoulder to the full length. When I was done with the marks, I connected with a straight line and I also labeled them. On the starting line, which is also the shoulder line, I divided my shoulder measurement by 2 and marked. I also used the standard neckline measurement of 3 by 3. From that point where I marked the shoulder measurement, I came down by 1 inch and I connected from that point to the neckline. This will be our shoulder slope. Next thing I did was to extend the lines to the other side. Now you will want to determine your chest line, and to do that you will have to divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you have will be your chest line. Mine is 8, so I marked 8. Then I measured what was remaining from that point where I marked 8 to the bust point. I have 1.5, so I marked the 1.5 across the pattern paper so as to have a straight line. Next is to draw the armhole. I made a straight line from the shoulder slope to the chest line, or you can measure whatever you have on the shoulder line and bring it down to the chest line, then you connect with a straight line. You will measure from the shoulder slope to the chest line to determine the midpoint. From the midpoint, you come in by 1/2 inch. Then on the chest line, you will mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Then you connect from that point to the 1/2 inch, then to the shoulder like this. Next is to mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8, divided by 2 will give me 4. So I marked 4 inches from the bust point to the hemline, then I connected with a straight line. So you have to measure yours to know what your nipple to nipple measurement is. Next is to mark our dart intake. So on the waistline, I marked 0.75 on the 2 sides of the dart leg. The dart leg is that line where we marked our nipple to nipple measurement. That is the dart leg. So on the hemline, I came up by 2 inches. Then I connected from the bust point to the 0.75 inch on the waistline. Then from there, I connected to meet the 2 inches on the hemline like this. When you're done with all of that, the next thing you will want to do is to impute your body measurement. So on the bust point, I measured my bust circumference divided by 4 and marked. On the waistline, I measured my waist circumference divided by 4 and also marked. Then I measured the dart intake on the waistline and I replaced it. On the hemline, I measured my hip circumference divided by 4 and marked. So after that, I connected the marks. Next is to mark your bust dart, and to determine the bust dart, you will have to subtract your front half length from your back half length. You know the front half length is usually longer than the back half length. My front half length is 17, while my back half length is 15.5. So 17 minus 15.5 will give me 1.5. So on the bust line, I came down by 1.5. From that point, I connected to meet the bust point, and that is all for the front pattern. Moving over to the back, we'll be marking the necessary measurements just like we did on the front pattern. We'll be marking the shoulder to the bust point, shoulder to the waistline, and shoulder to the hemline. The only difference here is that we will not be marking the shoulder to the under bust because there is no bust on the back. And again, the waistline, which is also the half length, will be shorter than the front half length. So after marking out the points, I connected with a straight line and equally labeled them. On the starting point, which is also the shoulder line, I marked my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then from that point, I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. For the neckline, I marked 3 inches wideness and 1 inch depth. Then I connected the marks. From that 1 inch that I came down for the shoulder slope, I draw a slant line to meet the neckline. So from the shoulder slope, I marked my chest line. I've already explained how to determine the chest line while I was drafting the front pattern. After determining the chest line, the next thing you want to do is to draw the armhole. And to do that, you have to make a straight line from that point where you mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2 to meet the chest line, or you bring down your shoulder measurement divided by 2 to the chest line and connect with a straight line. After that, you impute your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Then you connect with a straight line. Next is to mark the dart intake. So on the waistline, I'll mark 0.75 on the 2 sides of the dart leg. Then on the hemline, I came up by 2 inches. Then I connected from the chest line to meet the 0.75 on the waistline. Then I took it down to the 2 inches on the hemline. Note that for the front pattern, we connected the darts from the bust point all the way down, but for the back, we started from the chest line. When you're done with the darts, you can now go ahead and impute your body measurements, and always remember to replace the dart intake in each of the measurements. So when you're done imputing the body measurements, you can now go ahead and connect the marks with your ruler. When you are done connecting the body measurements, you can now go back to the armhole to draw the armhole curve. If you notice, I did not add sewing allowance or zipper allowance to this pattern. So if you want to make use of this pattern, when you place it on your fabric, you have to add your zipper allowance and your sewing allowance. We have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.